There is a plant growing right now through cracks in sidewalks, along garden edges, and between stones and driveways that contains more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon. Not per serving, per leaf. It has fed humans for more than 4,000 years, survived the collapse of empires, adapted to every climate humans inhabit, and in 2022, researchers identified a biological ability in this plant that was previously believed to be impossible, something no other plant on Earth can do. At the same time, an entire global industry spends billions each year making sure you see this plant as a problem instead of food. That contrast alone should raise suspicion. Food that grows without permission is rarely welcomed by systems built on control. More than 3,000 years ago, someone in northern Greece placed seeds into a clay vessel and sealed it. When archaeologists opened that container millennia later, they found thousands of tiny black seeds, each barely a millimeter across, still identifiable. The same species was growing outside the excavation site, unchanged, still thriving between stones. By the 7th century BC, these seeds appear in offerings at the Samian Heraion, one of the most important sanctuaries in ancient Greece. By the 4th century BC, Theophrastus, the student of Aristotle often called the father of botany, was writing explicit cultivation instructions for this plant, telling farmers when to sow it alongside their primary crops. He described its growth habit, its timing, and its usefulness with the same seriousness given to grains. This was not a weed. This was intentional food, deliberately managed and culturally embedded. The Roman Empire cultivated it across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia. Roman agricultural manuals mention it not as medicine, but as nourishment. Medieval Europeans ate it daily, especially in summer when other greens failed. In 1288, Bonvicin de la Riva compiled a detailed record of everything consumed in Milan. This plant appears on that list not as a curiosity or supplement, but as a dietary staple. It was common, expected, and relied upon during both abundance and shortage. Its Latin name was Portulaca oleracea. Today it is known as purslane, though the modern name carries none of the weight it once did. After 1492, purslane crossed oceans in multiple directions. European colonists documented it in Massachusetts in 1672, assuming it arrived with them. Archaeology later proved that assumption wrong. Seeds recovered in Ontario date to around 1350 AD. Seeds found in Kentucky date back to roughly 800 BC. Indigenous peoples of North America had been cultivating purslane for centuries as part of the Eastern agricultural complex alongside sunflowers, squash, and native grains. It was valued for the same reasons everywhere else: reliability, nutrition, and the fact that it thrived in disturbed ground where other crops struggled. Two populations separated by an ocean both independently decided this. Plant mattered enough to keep. That does not happen by accident. The question is why a plant so consistently chosen by different cultures was later so aggressively rejected. In 1960, physiologist Ansel Keys launched what became known as the 7 Countries Study. He wanted to understand why heart disease devastated some populations while barely touching others. Over 50 years, he tracked more than 12,000 men across 7 countries. One population stood out immediately. Farmers on the Greek island of Crete consumed diets where more than 35% of calories came from fat. According to prevailing nutritional theories, they should have been suffering extreme cardiovascular disease. Instead, they had the lowest mortality rate Keys ever recorded. Lower than Japan, lower than Finland, lower than any other group in the study. Their longevity was not marginally better. It was dramatically different. For decades, researchers credited olive oil and monounsaturated fats. The Mediterranean diet became legendary, simplified, and eventually commercialized. But in the 1980s, scientists revisited frozen blood samples from the original study with new analytical tools. They were no longer focused on cholesterol alone. They were looking for omega-3 fatty acids, which were just beginning to be understood. What they found changed everything. Cretan participants had 3 times the omega-3 levels of Northern Europeans, yet they were not eating 3 times more fish. The missing source was plant-based, embedded in daily meals rather than special foods. They were eating purslane daily, raw in salads, cooked in stews, sautéed in olive oil, fed to chickens and goats. The animals ate purslane, the people ate the animals. Omega-3s flowed through the entire food system from a plant growing wild in every field. It functioned as a nutritional backbone, not a supplement. In 1992, Dr. Artemis Simopoulos analyzed purslane's nutritional profile. The numbers appeared almost unbelievable. Between 300 and 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh leaves, 5 to 7 times more omega-3 than spinach, 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. It was the richest vegetable source of omega-3 fatty acids ever measured. These were not trace amounts. They were biologically meaningful concentrations from a plant most people remove without thinking. Then things became even stranger. Land plants are not supposed to produce EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid. EPA is considered a marine omega-3, found in fish and algae, not terrestrial plants. Purslane produces EPA in small but measurable quantities. When Simopoulos published the data, some researchers suspected contamination. Repeated analyses confirmed the result: no contamination. The plant genuinely produces EPA. That alone makes it biologically unusual. Beyond omega-3s, purslane contains unusually high concentrations of vitamin E, beta-carotene, potassium, magnesium, calcium, melatonin, glutathione, and multiple antioxidant compounds. Its mineral profile reflects the soils it thrives in, often drawing nutrients from compacted, disturbed ground other plants cannot exploit. Gram for gram, it ranks among the most nutrient-dense plants ever studied. Clinical evidence followed. The Lion Diet Heart Study tested whether a Cretan-style diet could reduce mortality after heart attacks. 605 patients were divided into 2 groups. One followed the standard low-fat cardiac diet. The other followed a Mediterranean diet rich in purslane, walnuts, olive oil, and omega-3 fatty acids. After 5 years, the Mediterranean group experienced 70% fewer deaths from all causes. Not just heart attacks, all causes. The study was halted early because continuing to deny the diet to the control group was deemed unethical. That decision is rare in nutritional science and speaks to the strength of the results. So why is purslane absent from grocery stores, cooking shows, and agricultural recommendations? In 2022, researchers at Yale published findings in Science Advances that redefined what was thought possible in plant biology. They were studying purslane because of an anomaly. It thrived in extreme drought while growing faster than almost any other plant. Normally, plants must choose a trade-off. C3 photosynthesis supports growth but wastes water. C4 photosynthesis improves heat tolerance but still requires moisture. CAM photosynthesis allows desert plants to survive drought by opening pores at night, but growth is slow. These pathways are usually mutually exclusive strategies. Purslane does all of it. Scientists initially believed it separated these processes into different tissues. Yale researchers mapped gene expression cell by cell. What they discovered had never been observed before. Purslane performs C4 photosynthesis during the day for rapid growth and CAM photosynthesis at night for water conservation within the same cells. The same enzymes shift roles depending on time of day. The metabolic products feed directly into each other. No plant known to science does this. It is not a compromise strategy. It is a dual system operating seamlessly. The researchers described it as a biological impossibility, a plant that grows fast and survives drought simultaneously. Purslane requires roughly 1/5 the water of corn. It tolerates high salinity. It thrives in compacted soil where roots of other crops fail. One plant can produce more than 200,000 seeds. Each seed can remain viable in soil for decades. Every stem fragment that touches the ground can root and form a new plant. Heat does not reliably kill it. Drought does not kill it. Solarization experiments showed that if purslane dies under plastic sheeting, everything has gone perfectly. Failure is rare. Survival is normal. This is why it was declared an enemy. The global herbicide market exceeded $40 billion in 2024. Major chemical corporations manufacture products specifically designed to eradicate purslane from lawns, gardens, and farms. Homeowners associations ban it. Agricultural extension offices publish guides on how to destroy it. The language is consistent: eliminate, suppress, control. Not because it damages ecosystems, but because it refuses to behave predictably. You cannot patent purslane. You cannot create sterile hybrids. You cannot force annual seed purchases. You cannot easily confine it to rows. It has reproduced freely for thousands of years and will continue regardless of regulation or labeling. That makes it incompatible with systems that depend on repeat sales and centralized distribution. Every other omega-3 source exists inside a controlled market. Fish populations are collapsing. Aquaculture requires capital and energy. Supplements cost money and degrade over time. Flax oil spoils quickly and requires processing. Purslane grows freely in nearly every climate humans occupy. It produces more omega-3 per acre than any cultivated crop and demands almost nothing in return. Half the world never stopped eating it. In India, it is kulfa. In Greece, glistrida. In Mexico, verdolagas. In China, machixian. Across the Middle East, it remains a summer staple. Recipes persist where knowledge transmission was never fully broken. The other half was taught to poison it, often without knowing why. If this information is new to you, pause here. Subscribe now, because the knowledge that actually matters rarely gets repeated, and it almost never comes from the places we are taught to trust first. Climate models consistently show that semi-arid regions will experience the earliest crop failures. These are precisely the environments where purslane thrives. Corn and wheat require 20 to 30 inches of rain. Purslane completes its life cycle on 6. Soybeans shut down photosynthesis above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Purslane accelerates. Its physiology does not merely tolerate stress, it exploits it. Learning to identify it is simple. Thick red stems, smooth, hairless surfaces, paddle-shaped succulent leaves that grow flat along the ground, tiny yellow flowers tucked between nodes. When broken, the stem releases clear moisture. Harvest young for tenderness. Eat it raw, cooked, pickled, dried, or blended. Save seeds. One plant produces enough to feed communities if knowledge is shared instead of suppressed. Every person who recognizes purslane stops seeing food as something that only comes from stores. That shift is subtle but powerful. The industries built on control depend on people never making that connection. Purslane has fed humans for 4,000 years. It survives drought, heat, neglect, and erasure. It grows whether permission is granted or not. It does not wait for approval, certification, or branding. And that leads to the question worth asking now, before systems decide for you. If the most resilient, nutritious plants on Earth already grow without assistance, what does it say about the food system that taught us to kill them instead of eat them?